manage our planet's sustainability. CO2 emissions are on the rise, and we are learning it from Bill McKibben. He is the spokesperson for the 350.org. The readings are taken on a Hawaiian island in the Pacific Ocean where there is no polluting industry. So the readings are on the very conservative side, rather low. Today's readings are 410 parts per million in the cubic meter, which is very close to a cubic yard. And I think at the turn of the century, it was something like 250. They're doing some ice core drilling in the Antarctic, and they find out it is almost like here in this country, we have a lot of trees, and you can read the tree rings, and you can tell when it was dry season and when there was a lot of moisture. It's the growth rings will tell you that. And so there are trees that are thousands years old, and you can actually tell what kind of a condition exists. That's the same with the snow in Greenland and also in the Antarctic. They are doing drillings, cores, and examined it, and I can find out that it was 250 parts per million on any different levels at the same time. So let me continue with that. The unbiased scientists are telling us, including Dr. James Hansen, top world scientist of the United States, that all citizens of the world must cut back on CO2 emission or else life will be unbearable, he points out. Conventional economic growth encourages the race to the top of consumption, particularly of the G20 nations, and we, the citizens of today, must find ways to cut down our compulsive habit of getting more stuff. I'm part of it as well. We need to conserve our planet for our children and their children. We must be in a new paradigm, a new movement. With the help of the social media, mail, fax, Twitter, zine, and magazines, telephone, and tea parties. 30 years ago, the planet Earth had 750 million registered vehicles, and today the number has increased to 1.25 billion. World crude oil stood at 600 million barrels in the 1970s, and now it is 92. That is about a month ago, or no, I think 5 years ago, but now it is already 100 million barrels per day, which is consumed. A day, that is the millions of barrels per day is being brought and then refined and made gasoline and heating oil out of it, etc., per day. A drastic increase. Climate change is brought along a rapid melting of permafrost of the pack ice in the geographic areas of the Canadian Arctic, Antarctic, and Greenland. What is happening is that the atmosphere is changing dramatically, and also the Larsen B shield is disintegrating at an exceedingly rapid movement of ice turning into water. The permafrost locked in the vegetation is off-gassing and releasing large quantities of methane, unwanted gas, which is accumulating in the upper atmosphere. That in turn is the greenhouse gas effect for the increase of our planet temperatures readings. In Alberta, in the province of Canada, which is north of the state of Montana, there's 3 million people living there, and there are 2 cities which each have 1 million in population. The province of Alberta produces electric power, and 95% of that electrical energy is generated from burning coal, which has a 46% carbon content on the average for the grid. Generating electric power must come from sustainable resources like wind, photovoltaic, and the government subsidies must come along and must be available for the Alberta government. My son, Jerry, my son Sid, and myself do some net metering on photovoltaic, as well as raising $1.2 million for a gearless wind turbine, which we hope to put up sometime in the near future in the area of Ashland. We need all the help we can get. And I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just pointing out that in Canada, with my son, we had 65 shareholders, and we moved forward and installed a wind turbine in an area very much like down on the Columbia Gorge, when you drive your car, you might have seen a number of wind turbines over in that area, and that's quite remarkable. And it's put up by Bonneville Light and Power and many other investors. And that there's a certain amount of energy coming from the wind, which is renewable. One more thing I want to mention about a wind turbine is that it takes a lot of energy to melt the steel, to take the wind turbine to the site, have the blades manufactured and taken to the job site. And it takes a life expectancy of a wind turbine is 30 years. But within 3 months, you break even for the amount of CO2 which was created in the process of making the tower and the electric conductors, and which have been melted down, transportation of the workmen to the site. And that is 3 months. And so you have another 29 years and 9 months on which is going money for the shareholders as a profit. The other disadvantage is that if you have a coal-fired power plant which produces energy using burning coal forever, you have the discharge into the atmosphere. So I want to thank you for your attention, and I'll give space for the next performer. Wonderful.